What's up, mortals? Alex here. Today, as you can see by the title of the video, I'm bringing you a deck profile on MEKK-KNIGHT. This is a very cool deck that recently came out in the latest set a few days ago. And as you can see, we managed to put it all together. We got all the cards on the sneak peek, and today I will be showing you my take on it. It's not the most competitive list, but it can still do a lot of damage. And I will tell you some of the cards that you can change around to make it a little more competitive. One of the main reasons why I picked up the deck was because it's part of the World Legacy arc, lore, I guess, and I made a promise to myself that we'll be picking up all the decks from that lore. So we already have World Chalice, and I am working on a World Legacy World Chalice list, so I will be bringing that to you later. But I decided to show you one of the main bad guys of the lore. Okay, let's start with the video. So we played 3 purple. Purple is one of the key cards of the deck. At first I thought we would play just a 1 or 2, but in testing I realized that he was easily a 3 of. He has a quick effect during other player's turn. You can target one other MEKK-KNIGHT or one MEKK-KNIGHT monster you control, even himself, banish it until your next standby phase. And if you do that, you get to add any MEKK-KNIGHT monster except for itself, which keeps all the resources coming. So 3 of those, 3 of Indigo. Indigo is one of the key ones. You have to max out on him, mainly because he's a level 8 and because he lets you move the MEKK-KNIGHT monsters around the board. Basically, he lets you switch the columns where they are been placed for the spells and traps to take effects. So we played 3 of those. The most important one and my favorite one is Blue. Blue is the best searcher. He also searches like in purple, but he does it in a different way, in a better way as well. He searches searches equal to cards equal to your opponent's cards in the same column as him. So for example, if your opponent has a monster in the spell trap card in the middle column, you can special summon him to that column, and on resolution you will add cards equal to the number of cards in those columns. So if nothing happens in resolution, he will be adding you 2 cards. And if you can manage to special summon it on a zone where a link monster points to, and they have a monster in the main monster zone and a spell and trap card, you get to search 3 cards, which is ridiculous. So he's one of the better cards and probably the most important monster. 2 red. Red is your monster removal. You can banish a MEKK-KNIGHT from the graveyard to destroy a monster in the same column as him. Same with yellow. Yellow does the same thing, but for spells and traps. So these are not needed as much, and some people have been playing it at 1, but I am playing Pot of Desires, and I don't want to like banish the 1 copy, so I decided to stick with the 2. By the way, before I continue, I will explain some of the MEKK-KNIGHT's effects. They all share the same effect, that if there are 2 cards in the same column, you can special summon them to that column once per turn, only that once per turn that way. And they have effects again that have to deal with columns, so that's why Indigo is really important in the deck, because you can move them around. For another World Legacy support, I am playing 3 World Legacy World Chalice. We're not using the on tribute effect when it leaves the field special summon to World Chalice, because we're not playing World Chalice. We just need it for a generic searcher. If it's in the graveyard except for the turn that was sent there, you can remove it from game and add any World Legacy card, and this deck has a lot of World Legacy spells and traps. So I decided to play 3 of those because you can send it with field spell to draw a card, next turn search for another card of itself, and then pitch it again for another +1. So in theory it's like +2s. Again, if you want to make it a little more competitive, you can remove the chalices to add Ash Blossoms. But again, this is more for fun build, so 3 chalice. I'm doing a small Kaiju engine because this deck can't really go first unless you have Grinder Golems. And I'm not doing the Grinder Golem combo because we don't have Security Dragon. So I decided to make it go in second list and play some Kaijus to like clear the board and position a Kaiju exactly where I need him to. If you like clear the board and your opponent has the spell or trap card in a specific zone, you would place a Kaiju in that zone so you can trigger all your other MEKK-KNIGHT monsters. So 3 of those, all of them level 8. because I am doing trade-in, what I'll get to in a little bit. One of the starters, if your opponent makes you go first, you have Gofu to do some plays. Even like going second, Gofu is not. So Gofu is just like auto and like inclusion in the deck. You just have to play him. 3 Venus and 3 Shine Balls. Venus is the best starter card in the deck, and honestly the only normal summon you want to do. At times you're gonna be forced to normal summon the Chalice, which is not terrible, honestly. Now that I think about it, it's not so bad. But anyways, because Aurum. Anyways, 3 Venus, 3 Shine Balls, just to get you to one of the key Link monsters in the extra deck, which I'll get to in a little bit. So you want to get to these cards ASAP so you can start doing your combos. For the last monsters, MEKK-C, self-explanatory. You don't have to like. I don't have to explain any of that. MEKK-C is just a good card. You just have to play in all the decks. For the spells, 1 Pot of Desires to dig through the deck. Not 2 nor 3. I'm not a big fan of 3, and just the 1 is fine, since the deck already has a lot of search ability. 1 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber to go with the Kaijus. 1 Tech Instant Fusion. It's cool because you can set it in the same column one of your opponent's monsters and spells and traps. You can special summon one of your Mech-Knights, then activate Instant Fusion and get one of your fusion targets, and put it on a column where, like, summon to an extra deck monster zone where a column is already taken by your opponent or your spells and traps. So it's a lot of applications, and it might seem confusing that I'm talking about columns, but this deck follows columns very strictly. It's all about columns, and that's one of the fun things about it, because you have to like manage and like play ahead and predict your opponent, and they're gonna have to play around your predictions, which is like a chess game. And like one of the main reasons why I like it is because like competitive Pokemon Online, it's all about prediction, and this deck, it's all about that prediction, searching, maximizing your resources. So 1 Instant Fusion just for that, to maximize your column control. 3 World Legacy Scars, the field spell for Mech-Knights. The first effect, it gives all your Mech-Knights 300 attack and defense, which is sort of relevant actually. The second effect is pitch a Mech-Knight or a World Legacy card, draw a card. It's not even once per turn, so it's actually really good. That's why I'm doing the World Legacy World Chalice, because it can search any of them. The third effect never comes up because requires you to banish 8 Mech-Knights with different names from your graveyard and or field, I believe. From your graveyard or face up on the field to send all the cards your opponent's graveyard or hand, which is not very good. Plus, we don't play the green and or the other yellow one. So just 3 of those for draw power. 3 World Legacy's key. This is actually one of the better cards in my opinion. It's not because it negates traps, but because it lets you recur resources back. Like I said, yellow and red banish Mech-Knights from the graveyard to destroy cards. So if you can follow it up with this to get a resource back, usually blue sky or purple, you can special summon them and get more resources. So I just easily 3 of in my opinion. And also it negates trap cards in the same column that a Mech-Knight is on. So if, for example, if you have this guy and your opponent has a Solemn Strike in the metal zone, and you special summon something like normal summon a Venus somewhere else, and you activate its effect and they activate Strike, but Strike was in the same column as blue or any of the guys, Strike will be negated because of this card. So it's actually really good to keep your opponent's traps locked. Even though a lot of people are not playing traps, but it's still really good. 2 trade-ins, not 3 because it's a little cloggy. Even though we have a lot of level 8s in the deck for us to trigger it, I decided 2 is fine. And we have Desire, so it's fine. For the trap cards, not that many, just for World Legacy Secret and 2 Whispers. Just 2 of each. They're actually really good, but I don't think I would play them at 3 just right now because I'm still testing the deck and I found that 2 is better. World Legacy Secrets, it's Call of a Haunted. Target level 5 or higher monster, special summon it. When the monster leaves the field, destroy this card. The thing about this is that it negates your opponent's monster effects in the same column as a Mech-Knight monster is. So that's why Indigo is so good, because it lets you double negate if you have multiple spells and traps. So you can like have him there and then move into another zone where where your opponent's spells and traps are. Another column, I'm sorry. So that's why I mean he's one of the more important ones, and you have to play 3 of. So 2 of those. And 2 Whispers. Whisper is the plus 1000 attack and defense by targeting a Mech-Knight. and it negates spells by our opponents. So you can see all the control the deck does with these 7 cards, just controlling the board, getting advantage, and overwhelming your opponent. Later on, when we get Security Dragon, I will definitely do the Grinder Golem version, just because it's a little better, infinitely better. But so right now, I decided to keep it more TCG oriented, and let me know what you think of the main deck. Let's go with the extra deck. For my targets, for Instant Fusion, I do 1 Radiant and 1 Thousand Eyes. Thousand Eyes sucks up the monster. You can place it anywhere in your spells and trap card that you want to trigger your MEKK-KNIGHTs. Also, it's a level 1 for you to make Link Karibo. And Radiant's just a good generic level 5 fusion that can put a monster face down if it's causing you trouble. For the links, which is all of them, 1 Link Karibo, Gofu tokens, Thousand Eyes, kinda have to play it. It's a different name for Sarjuja. 2 Link Spiders for Venus, or the Shamballs, I guess. If one of them gets used up, you have Venus and Gofu as well, so 2 is actually really good. I might try to get another Link Karibo in here just to substitute the second Link Spider, just because Link Karibo is a little better. Imduk, you need it for the Sarjuja play. Basically, Venus equals that guy, lets you draw 4 cards, shuffle 3 back in any order, so it lets you fix your hand. Ib, for the 1 standard play, Ib protects any of your monsters that she's linked to, so 1 of those. Proxy Dragon, generic 2. Ningrisu, my favorite Link monster in the game. So strong. You can make it of Gofu, of Venus, clear anything you want. One of really good cards. Gaia, generic Link 3, is super strong in a lot of the decks, and being 26, it's actually not terrible. You can play something else if you want, but I decided the Gaia was just better. It's generic Link 3 again, not so bad. A beater. There should be 2 of this. I currently don't have the second copy, but I will be getting to that later. This guy is actually really strong. It has really weird effects, and like most people know that Link monsters get effects equal to the number of monsters they're pointing to. This card, it's a little different. It's actually way different because it requires it not to point to anything to have its effect. And as long as it's not pointing to anything, it cannot be destroyed or targeted by your opponent's card effects, and it cannot attack directly, which is really strong. And then once per turn, you can send 1 face-up card you control to the graveyard to special summon any MEKK-KNIGHT monster from your deck in defense, which is huge. Like, it lets you get any of your guys. Usually these 2, or like if you need to pop a back or a monster, you go for these 2. So really good toolboxy right there. This card is actually really nuts. Again, I'm gonna get the second one later. Topologic Bomber Dragon for the board clear and just a burn damage. Really good card. One of the new inclusions and one of my favorite cards in the entire game now. Sarjuja, the Dread Skull Dread. Well, anyways, this card is crazy. Main reason why we're doing Venus, because this card can unbrick your hand. The support effect is usually what you want to go for, but its third effect is actually really good. It lets you summon 1 monster from your hand to the field once per turn, which is nuts. You can summon this and end up with summoning the World Legacy World Chalice to interrupt your opponent's special summon from the extra deck, which is really good. So 1 of those. When we get Grinder Golem, or I should say when we get Security Dragon, I will definitely be playing 2. And for the last card, 1 Borreload Dragon, because Borreload wins games. One of the better cards in the game. Yes, you can play some rank 7s, some rank 8s in the deck, but I feel that it's not as key, just because you usually want to control the board with the MEKK-KNIGHTs and keep them there as long as possible. And the Link monsters are usually here because of Gofu and Venus. You rarely link away with your monsters, and when you do, you will be making the Link monster. MEKK-KNIGHT Spectrum Supreme. The cards are actually really good. So again, that was my take on MEKK-KNIGHTs. I will be tweaking it later on, but let me know what you think of it. If you are working on a list of your own, of course, post down below. I would love to hear your comments. Again, if you have any questions, just ask away. I will answer as soon as possible. And as always, thank you for watching. Alex out. Peace.